the next step in the evolution for me was probably about a year or two into the channel, and I was at a men's retreat with a very, I'm going to call it a blue pill group, because there was guys in the groups that were very like, happy wife, happy life type of dudes. And I was sitting down at breakfast, and we were at Ben Greenfield's house at this event. He kind of had this biohacking place in Spokane, Washington. I think he's gotten rid of it now, or reselling it because he's moved to another state. But we were at that biohacking place that he just basically built. And I was sitting down with this dude, and we were just shooting the shit over breakfast, and we're just talking about life. And, women came up, obviously. And I'd expressed some of the challenges that I had gone through with divorce and, dealing with chicks and sort of stuff like that. Never really had a problem attracting them. It was like figuring them out almost. And he goes, "Oh, you got to read this book." All right. So downloaded it, listened to this book. And that's sort of like what pushed me into the red pill. Ooh, that big scary word. This day, I don't use pills to describe who I am. There's so many different colors out there. They've been bastardized. They make up colors to suit their needs now. Am I red pilled? Yeah, sure. I'm not interested in being part of the manosphere, the manoswamp, especially conferences, things like that. There's some interesting guys in that space that have some useful information. I still talk to some of them, but there's too many that I came across in that space through this evolution over the years. Because from about 2016 onwards was when more of my videos had less to do with cars. They were still filmed in the cars, but they weren't conversations around fast cars and stuff like that. I can sort of scroll down here in the channel, and there's a definite shift between car content and relationship type of stuff. The relationship type of stuff definitely took off. There was an appetite for it. I remember in the early days, one of the first YouTube channels that I started watching, because I didn't watch a lot of YouTube. There was mostly car reviews that I would pay attention to. I used to watch smoking tire type of car reviews, and there was another YouTube channel that had a lot of funding from YouTube that they drew the funding. I can't remember who the hell it was, but it was really good. It was with Chris Harris, before Chris Harris went on Top Gear and all that sort of stuff. Somebody in the comments can remind me, maybe Kizza knows. And I'll get to the super chats in a bit, guys. Thanks for dropping those in there. But the shift and the pivot over to the relationship stuff started with like the MGTOW stuff. MGTOW is men going their own way. If you've read my book, The Unplugged Alpha, the second edition is the one that you want, by the way, if you haven't read it yet. It's on Amazon. It's an interesting group of guys because they have a good understanding of relationships and the dynamics and attraction and all that sort of stuff. But there's a contingent of guys out there as well that are nihilistic, how can I put it? Quitters in some sense of the regard. But the MGTOW videos were really interesting in the early days. There was this dude, I can't remember his name for the life of me, but he went by Miggy or MGTOW 101. He was one of the first channels that got like removed from YouTube and their purge. Because every once in a while, YouTube will purge content that it deems problematic even. And I don't think the content was problematic in any sense or regard. It's just they targeted those keywords or the acronym itself. And a lot of those channels got wiped out. And that's why you don't see a lot of content now with the acronym used. But he had some really good videos, funny shit. He was an entertaining guy. He had this little outro at the end with some girl dancing down the street to some dubstep stuff. If you guys remember, if you know, sort of thing. And then that sort of like went into, this is interesting. I've learned some things. I've read some books. And then I started to read some Evo Psych books. And then I started to talk to some of these guys in the space. And then I started making more and more videos about it. And it's like, I had this conversation with Dr. Orion Taban at one point. I can't remember if we had it on a podcast together, or if we did it privately when he was at my event at the forum, but he said something along the lines of, yeah, I've followed your stuff kind of since the start, because he's a bit of a car guy too, but he's obviously in the psychology field. And he said, you know, I could tell that you were kind of working through shit, almost like you were using the channel to work through ideas and solutions and tackling problems. It was interesting from that perspective to hear it back, because I often will hold up a mirror to people and say, like, look at this shit and pay attention to it. Like, can you see it? And they don't usually see it. And I'm always happy when somebody with some insight and some gumption, like the way Orion projected to me and said, hey man, you know, I kind of saw you work through this stuff. It's like, yeah, that made sense. Because that's kind of what I did. Like, that was what the evolution of the channel became. It was almost like a place for me to take a topic, suss it out, bullet point some thoughts, and then just sort of chop it up in a car when I'm going somewhere. So I figured, rather than listening to music while driving, for me, it's like I've listened to all the music that I like. All the new music today sucks. If I want to listen to good music, I'll throw, you know, some Led Zeppelin or some shit, or some Metallica, some fucking proper music. So I've listened to all the good music that I like. So I'll either listen to podcasts when I'm driving, or I got to find something else to occupy my time when I'm driving. So I figured I'll make a bunch of videos when I'm traveling, going places, going to and from the office, or whatever I had queued up. And I made a ton of videos. 1,473 have been published. And so almost 1,500 videos on the main channel. That doesn't include the thousands upon thousands of clips and shorts and edits and all the other ones that end up on the other platforms like Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts and Twitter, X, whatever it happens to be. Who the hell knows wherever else they end up going as well. But there's been a whole lot of content put out that's helped me evolve, I guess, to the stage where I'm at today. I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here, and pin down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.